I just did my totals. I'm sitting at 2,515 fish in 2018 so far.
Hey everyone, John here from the Cast and Spear podcast, and today we have the final episode with Luke Offguard from caughtoffguard.com. And today he's going to talk a little bit about an app that he is an ambassador for. It's a fishing app called Fishbrain. If you haven't already downloaded it, check it out. I think it's really cool. I'm definitely going to start using it more. He also goes into a little bit about a manual system that he uses to keep track of all his fish. But overall, he wants to make sure that anybody who talks a big game has the data to back it up. But before we jump into that, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a future episode. And to wrap up this series of the podcast, let's welcome back Luke Offguard.
So Fishbrain is something that I got into 3 or 4 years ago now. I used to write fishing reports for our state fisheries department. I would send in little blurbs whenever I'd go fishing and say, hey, this might be a good place to go. Here's what you should use. Basically super condensed fishing stories like I do in the newspaper. And the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife was the first state department or agency to partner with Fishbrain, which is actually a company based in Sweden, to provide fishing reports for local anglers. And what Fishbrain does is it combines a number of things that are in existence, like Instagram, with those that are completely innovative. And what it does is give you the chance to see what fish are around you, to record them once you catch them, to share them with your friends, to network, to follow those friends just like you would on social media. But you can also follow a specific species of fish. You can follow a body of water. You could follow a style of fishing. So while I might follow my buddy Ben, who I fish with a lot, I might also be able to follow Upper Klamath Lake, where I spend a lot of my time fishing. I might be able to follow rainbow trout, which is the species I'm chasing probably 1 out of every 2 days I'm on the water. I can follow the styles of fishing, so trolling or spin casting, fly fishing, whatever I'm interested in. And then I can go and record it. I can record a catch, I post a picture, I record the stats. You can record whether or not it was your personal best. So if you catch your new best of a specific species, you can mark that. It'll give you a little trophy. You can post that on there with whatever information you want. You can link to your blog, or you can link to your YouTube channel, or not. You can share information, you can make friends. And then what I think is the most beautiful part about Fishbrain is when you travel and you have no idea where to go, you just open up the app, you click the little Intel icon, which looks like a compass, and it'll show you all the fish that have been caught, publicly posted, and available all around you. So every time I travel, I try to go in with some research to know where to go, but Fishbrain in recent years has been a huge tool to help me find not only new species, but how to find the biggest fish wherever I plan to go. So it's this really cool option that you have as an angler that you didn't have just a few years ago. It's not gimmicky. It's completely free. You can choose to pay for what they call the pro version, which lets you see exactly where people were standing if they choose to post a public catch. But you don't freak out. You have a choice. You can post your catches private, where none of the location data is stored. You can post it as what's called competitive, where it'll say, I caught it in this lake, but it won't show you exactly where. Or you can post it as public. If you are a non-pro member, you can see the water body where fish was caught. If you're a pro member, you can see where those public catches were posted. And whenever I travel, I usually post public catches because, hey, I benefited from the app. I might as well help someone out. Now, at the same time, when I'm back home fishing my private trout waters, not private, but my own personal trout waters, I'm probably going to list them as private catches. I don't want people to know exactly where I caught this fish because I don't know if they're going to go out and kill that fish, and I don't want that to happen. Fishbrain is just an awesome company. They've grown really, really rapidly. In the 2 years that I've been with the app, I've been able to sit down with their board to give them advice on what's working well. As a featured user, I've been able to say, hey, here's a feature you should try to add. Here's something you should take away. We're really excited about the things that are coming up with Fishbrain. As I mentioned before, I'm one of their ambassadors, so they don't pay me, but they let me have a lot of influence with the company. They give me some free stuff sometimes. Last summer, they flew me down to ICAST, the International Convention of Allied Sport Fishing Trades, where basically anyone who fishes will just drool for hours looking around at all that's available. And that was held in Orlando. And of course, while I was there, I spent some time fishing. I had a chance while I was in Orlando to catch a total of 35 species. I caught almost 1,000 fish while I was down there over 10 days, caught some 20 new species, all of which I caught just by using Fishbrain's app. So there's not much of a better testament to that than being able to go do it myself. I love Fishbrain. If you're not on Fishbrain, check it out, and be sure to follow me at Luke Ofgard on Fishbrain.
That's awesome. Do you also track your stuff manually now? Because I know on your site you had kind of like an outline in a post of like how you use spreadsheets. Do you just specifically use Fishbrain from now on?
So what I sort of use Fishbrain for putting my best catches up or my best catch of a trip. So I'm not going to put every single catch. This year I've had a phenomenal year. I've actually had my best year ever in terms of numbers. I just did my totals. I'm sitting at 2,515 fish in 2018 so far. So I'd really love to get to 3,000. I've never had a 3,000 fish year before, but you never know. I only have 6 weeks left in the year, and basically everything's frozen where I live. But I'd love to make that happen. But I know that not from Fishbrain, but because I've been tracking things on spreadsheets. For me, I mostly use Fishbrain when I go out. If I catch an exceptionally beautiful fish, something that's just like awesome, people have to see this. Even if it's not the most glamorous species, I might post the long ear sunfish or the red spotted sunfish I caught down in Texas this summer. They're not big fish, but they're gorgeous, and a lot of people haven't even seen them, especially my neck of the woods. But I'm also going to post the big ones that I'm proud of, or ones that maybe just came with a good story, like that one I shared earlier about how I almost died like 3 times in the same day. At the end of that day, having a fish, no matter how big, is worth posting just so you can share the story.
How has your system developed over time for somebody who wants to get into lifeless fishing or species fishing and wants an easy way to track as diligently as you have since, I think you said '04?
Yeah, so Fishbrain, you could do it. Especially if you're a species hunter. Species hunters really only care about that first of a species they catch. They call them lifers. So I'm not the most pure species hunter in that regard. I do care about catching fish again and again, and big fish, and as many fish as I can catch. For me, I just created a simple spreadsheet. I'd actually be happy to share that with you and your listeners if they want to just use what I have. I basically have it broken down into a couple different things I track. I have one sheet that I call my trip log. It's just a spreadsheet that says, when did I go out? Where did I go? What did I catch? A few lines, I can fill that out for a fishing trip in maybe 10 seconds or less. I then have something that I call my lifetime bag, which is where I track how many of each species I've caught. I have something I call my season bag, which is how many of each species I caught in a year. And then my last one, I call it my Hall of Fame, basically for the big species that are IGFA record eligible. And in order to be eligible for a world record, a fish has to be not only the largest one ever recorded, but capable of growing over a pound. So those species that only hit like 6 or 8 ounces, IGFA doesn't even track records. So I don't track them in my Hall of Fame. If they can't even possibly hit a pound, I'm never going to track those. But I do track, for certain species, my top 5 or 10 or 20, or when it comes to my red band trout, which I spend more time fishing for anything out more than anything else, I track my top 100. And so I just use spreadsheets. I have them all formatted. I'd be happy to share those with you. I'll probably clear out all the details before I send them on over, but I would be happy to share those so people could have the templates. If you care enough, you're more than welcome to do the same thing. And then you'll be able to say, without being that angler that exaggerates, oh, I've caught this many fish, or my biggest fish is this, because, you have a date, time, and a record of it. So I don't know, it feels like it backs up a lot of the talk that spurs from exaggeration in the world of fishing.
Well, that does it for this episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Big thanks to Luke for coming on and sharing a lot of his knowledge, and I hope to have him back on in the future. If you have any questions for him, please let me know. Go to castandspear.com/contact. I will also be putting in the show notes a link to Fishbrain, as well as the documents Luke mentioned in the podcast about his method for manual tracking. And if you haven't already done so, please do me a huge favor, screenshot your podcast app and text it to a couple of your fishing buddies, maybe 3 of them. And a big shout out to those who've already done it. Even better if you can share it on your social. I know Luke and Josh from Lifeless Fishing put it up on his story the other day, tagged me. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for spreading the word. And with that, keep those lines tight, everyone. See ya.